It's June 23rd, 2007. The NASCAR Busch Series is racing in a standalone event at the Milwaukee Mile in Wisconsin, while the Nextel Cup Series spends the weekend at Infineon Raceway in Sonoma, California. This weekend will provide a rare opportunity for the Busch Series regulars to compete with minimal interference from Cup Series drivers. But what should have been the greatest night of a young driver's career is turned into a complete farce, as Joe Gibbs Racing's Busch Series development driver is pulled from a car mid-race to allow his Cup Series driver to finish it. But what led to this controversy? And how did this so-called Busch League move come to take place? This is the story of the 2007 AT&T 250, which ultimately became one of the most controversial races in NASCAR history.
I gotta tell you, I think that's a bad decision. They're doing this for the sponsor, I hear. But you know what? This kid, Aric, Almirola's been running great. It looks like they're gonna go down a lap right now for sure. I don't like this. This whole thing is a real tough deal. He's got to be upset. He's doing a great job out there.
It's this guy that was a lap down just trying to claw his way back on the lead lap, and all of a sudden here he's the man to beat.
Okay, maybe I'll back up and say that was a smart decision. Put Denny back in the car. Okay, that's okay for me to say that, right?
I was getting ready to bring that whole discussion thing up again.
I can read it in your eyeballs.
No.
I was just really sad for Aric Almirola pull out of that car, but Denny is flat putting it on him right now.
Denny Hamlin started the day in Sonoma, California on the Infineon Raceway road course, practicing his Nextel Cup car for tomorrow's race. Got here late, jumped in the car after Almirola qualified it on the pole and led the start of the race.
Hell yes!
And it will have all been worth it for him.
You got heart, baby. You got heart. We all love you.
Denny Hamlin wins at the Milwaukee Mile.
Good job, Denny. Aric, if you're listening, you did an awesome job, too.
Aric, this is your race car, man. I appreciate everything you did.
Guys, there's a lot of emotion tonight. We got hardware. The 7th hole won the race. Just want to thank all the people from Rockwell for making it all happen.
I didn't want to do it. I mean, I knew he would be really upset as well as he was running at the time. But we got to do what we got to do, and I definitely wasn't my choice, but for the sure thing to come out here and get this win after such a long trip and not being able to land and everything just sitting out the first 60 laps, that was amazing to come back and win this thing.
The concept of bushwhacking alone is controversial in the NASCAR community to this day. Many argue that Cup Series drivers competing in what is now the Xfinity Series take spotlight away from the series regulars, making it harder for them to make a name for themselves, and in some cases, actually taking rides away from young prospects altogether. Others say that the practice actually helps young Xfinity Series drivers, because if they want to prove that they belong among the best drivers in the sport, they might as well have the chance to beat the best drivers in the sport. But no matter where you stand on the issue, there's no denying that bushwhacking had gotten out of control around 2007. In March, the Samstown 300 at Las Vegas alone saw 26 Cup regulars in the field of 43. You have to go all the way down to Shane Huffman in 9th place before you find the first Busch Series regular in the race results. Now let's flash forward a few months to June. The Busch Series is in Milwaukee, a track the Cup Series doesn't visit on their tour. It's a standalone event. And it's not like the Cup guys are just down the road this weekend either. They're all the way out in Sonoma, California, over 1,800 miles from Milwaukee. Because of the long distance, only 3 drivers will travel back and forth to compete in both races. Carl Edwards, who's already running away with the Busch Series championship, his Roush Fenway Racing teammate David Reagan, somehow simultaneously running for both Cup and Busch Series Rookie of the Year honors, but nonetheless still looking to gain all the experience he can, and Denny Hamlin, a second-year Cup driver for Joe Gibbs Racing. Hamlin hasn't run any standalone Busch events yet this season, but because Gibbs' Busch Series sponsor Rockwell Automation is headquartered in Wisconsin, Gibbs wants his Cup star in this Busch race. Another storyline entering the race weekend was the fact that Wisconsin-born drivers had won each of the 2 previous series races at this track. And while a total of 4 of them are in the field tonight, there's one driver in particular with a great chance of continuing that trend. Richard Childress Racing's Scott Wimmer. Wimmer drives RCR's number 29 car part-time, splitting the season with their Cup Series driver Jeff Burton. Burton's already won multiple races this season, and while Wimmer's had some strong runs in his own right, he's still looking for that first victory with this team. And he's optimistic it can come at his home track in Milwaukee.
This is your home track. So what would a win here, where would that rank on your level, on your list of accomplishments in this series?
Well, I think it'd probably be the biggest win of my career. I've been coming here since I was a little kid, and watch my uncle win races here, watch Dick Trickle win races. So I'm really excited about it. I got a lot of friends, a lot of family here, and right now we're looking for that helicopter, see if we're going to start on the front row or in second row, but Holiday and Chevrolet is really good tonight.
Wimmer paces both practice sessions, but he's beaten to the pole by Gibbs' development driver, Aric Almirola. But wait, I thought Hamlin was racing this weekend. Well, yes, that's the plan, but he's still on his way from Sonoma, where he's been getting his Cup car ready for the race there tomorrow. Edwards and Reagan are obviously in the same boat, so Travis Kvapil and Eric Darnell are practicing their respective cars. Reagan misses his turn to set a qualifying time, which means he'll have to go to the back of the starting grid when it comes time for the race. And Edwards barely makes it back in time to qualify his own car, saying had he been 1 minute later than he was, he wouldn't have made it.
Carl, first of all, we showed the video of you running over and getting your car. Any travel difficulties other than the sprint getting over here?
A little bit of travel difficulties. I had to wait on David Reagan for about 5 minutes, but that ended up costing him. He didn't make his lap. He's sitting behind you. I'm giving him a hard time, but just we stopped for fuel once. We didn't get enough fuel on the plane, so we had to stop again. That's what got us. But it's not so hard to run that far. It's just hard when a bunch of people are staring at you. You know, kind of freaks you out a little bit. I wasn't breathing right, and just wore me out pretty bad.
Hamlin, however, is still traveling to the track. So Almirola gets him a 20 car just as Darnell did for Reagan and puts it on pole. The ironic thing is that the exact same thing had happened at this race the year before. How would you like to be Aric Almirola here? For the second year in a row, you put your team's car on pole position only to give it up to the Cup driver for the race because of sponsorship wishes. Man, this sport absolutely stinks sometimes. So now it's time for the race. Except there's one problem. Denny Hamlin's still not here. So what happens? Well, the team has no choice. They have to let Almirola get in the car and start the event.
Quick thought on that 20 car starting on pole. The kid's going to race it. That wasn't expecting to, it looks like.
Well, it looks like Aric Almirola is going to drive that car, and I tell you what, he's going to do good in it too. He's practiced it, he's qualified, he's familiar with it. Leave him in that car is the right decision. You know, Hamlin's just too late. He'd get in the car and he wouldn't drive good. He'd be frustrated and mad probably from the helicopter ride and all that mess.
So Scott Wimmer will start third now, and Aric Almirola there getting instructions from crew chief Dave Rogers will lead the field to the green flag momentarily.
Well, Jamie, it's official. Aric Almirola is starting this race in the number 20 car. The team quickly changed those seat inserts, and Almirola rolled off pit road. Now, Denny Hamlin is currently still on his way to the track. According to the team, he's getting a police escort. I asked crew chief Dave Rogers if the team would think about making a driver change mid-race. He said as long as Aric feels comfortable in that car, they'll leave him in it. He won the pole. They'll let him win the race.
You're lying. You just lied to America. You're lying. You're lying, and you know you're lying.
It's a good thing Almirola went to the driver's meeting, because he'll get to keep pole position. And he'll hold strong, maintaining the lead until Edwards takes it from him shortly after a lap 43 restart. At this point, Hamlin's managed to make it inside the track, but he figures it's all for nothing as the team's been indicating that they'll probably just let Almirola run the entire race. He's so confident he won't be needed that he actually takes up an offer to be recruited by Stephen Wallace's team as a potential replacement driver since Wallace is feeling unwell.
Dave, got some more news from the 66 pit?
Yeah, but it may not be what you're expecting, Alan. After we came down here to check on the tire situation, we ran into Denny Hamlin. Denny, what are you doing here in the 66 pit?
You know, I got a message that Stephen wasn't feeling good, so, you know, I think they were asking about Aric, so, you know, if they need a driver, I'm here looking for one.
How disappointed not to get in the 20 when you finally got here, Denny?
Well, it's disappointing that we were just hovering over the racetrack while driver intros are going on, and neither the track or NASCAR wouldn't let us land. You know, there's a lot of people spend a lot of time and money trying to get me here, but this is all about supporting Rockwell Automation. They've been part of this Busch Series program with Joe Gibbs for 3 to 4 years, and I think Aric would do just a good job for him. I think taking him out of the car right now would be pretty disrespectful.
All right, Denny being a good sport, perhaps replacing Stephen Wallace here, but not on this pit stop, guys.
Then, on lap 57, Truck Series regular Ron Hornaday Jr., making a rare Busch Series appearance, crashes out of the race and brings out another yellow. It's at this point that Joe Gibbs Racing makes one of the most controversial decisions in Busch Series history. They change their mind and decide to use the caution as an opportunity to put Denny Hamlin in the number 20 car.
Just a second ago, under this caution, Denny Hamlin's car brought down pit road by Aric Almirola, giving up third place to make the driver change.
I got to tell you, I think that's a bad decision. They're doing this for the sponsor, I hear. But you know what? This kid, Aric Almirola's been running great. It looks like they're going to go down a lap right now for sure. I don't like this. This whole thing is a real tough deal. He's got to be upset. He's doing a great job out there.
It seems like there was some kind of miscommunication, too, because we heard him talking about earlier they were going to leave Aric Almirola in the car, but Somebody must have made the decision higher up, maybe, to take him out of the car.
Yeah, but that is really crazy. I mean, you got a guy running the top 3 doing a great job, and you pull him out of the car just because you're trying to, I don't know what kind of point they're taking.
In a hole here, in a disadvantage.
Yeah, they've killed the
lap.
team now by doing this.
And our reporters will find out more specifically from the team down there about why this decision was made once they finish getting Denny in. But in the meantime, they're having all kind of problems getting Denny Hamlin into that race car. They've already lost 1 lap and may lose another one here. While they sit there, they couldn't get the insert out that Almirola used and then the insert into the seat that Denny uses. And, you know, it's not an easy thing to buckle a driver into these cars.
It takes so long now to get these guys strapped in with all the safety equipment and all the headrests. And you got to have all the Hans device hooked up and steering wheel clipped on. There's a lot of work that it takes to get these guys ready to go. It's not like just jumping out of the car like they did 10 or 15 years ago. Just throw the belts off and jump in and out.
Well, it looks like he's going to make it. Only lose 1 lap, I think. The pace car is coming off of 4. You see him firing up right now. Now, look, we know one thing. He's got a fast car. He can get this lap back, that's for sure. And can he win the race? Yeah. Was it the right decision to do it? I don't think so. I don't care if he wins or not.
He's got his work cut out for him.
Yep, that's right. Gibbs took their young prospect, who qualified the car on pole, who led the first 43 laps, who was running 3rd at the time, and pulled him from the car so that he could be replaced with a second-year Cup Series regular. The driver change causes the team to drop from 3rd to 34th in the running order. And the 20 car, now driven by Hamlin, goes a lap down. Let me repeat that again. The Gibbs team willingly sacrificed an entire lap and 31 positions on track to put Denny Hamlin in a car he hadn't practiced or qualified. Because apparently that made more sense than just leaving Almirola in 3rd and letting him try to win the race himself. Hamlin will spend much of the middle portion of the race a lap down until around 100 laps to go when a caution comes out for debris. Hamlin finally receives the free pass as the first car 1 lap down and joins the tail end of the lead lap cars.
These guys need to work on their cars.
Oh, sorry. Just thinking about this. Guess who gets the free pass?
Oh, I think Carl's been worried about this 20 car.
Well, it's taken him 145 laps to get there, but he's got there. Now, he's got the lucky dog. He's going to go all the way around, get to the back. That's going to put him about 16th. Yep. Now he's got to drive through 16 cars now.
As Hamlin begins to cut his way through the field, Edwards is struck with misfortune. After another caution, a slow pit stop shuffled him towards the back end of the top 10, and then he suffers a flat tire while racing amongst the pack, taking the dominant car of the night out of contention. Mike Wallace had taken fuel only on his last stop to assume the lead for a few laps, until lap 173, when he's passed by none other than James Dennis Hamlin.
That's for the race lead, 20 in the 7.
What a job he's done to get his car up here. Takes the lead for Mike Wallace on the high side.
Well, except the final race results won't say that. The race results will still say Aric Almirola. NASCAR rules state that in the case of a mid-race driver change, the driver who starts the race is the one who receives credit for the finish. This means that if Hamlin can hold on to the lead, Almirola will score his first career Busch Series victory, having already left the track in disgust after being pulled from his car, his pole qualifying car with which he led the first 43 laps. Have I emphasized this enough? Mid-race to give way to a Cup Series driver. But it's not going to be a cakewalk for Hamlin. Scott Wimmer, who remember is trying to score his first win of the year at his home track, and Jason Leffler, who had qualified second behind Almirola and just ahead of Wimmer, are both desperate for a victory, and both have fast cars. A late caution brings everyone onto pit road, and Wimmer's pit crew takes 2 tires as opposed to Hamlin's 4, giving him the lead. He'll hold it until another caution forces another restart. Hamlin then takes both Wimmer and Leffler 3 wide to make a pass for the lead with 13 to go. Wimmer gets one last chance at hometown glory on a final restart, but Hamlin holds him off for the final 4 laps to take, well, Aric Almirola's first ever Busch Series victory.
Denny Hamlin started the day in Sonoma, California on the Infineon Raceway road course, practicing his next L Cup car for tomorrow's race. Got here late, jumped in the car after Almirola qualified it on the pole and led the start of the race.
Hell yes!
And it will have all been worth it for him.
You got heart, baby. You got heart. We all love you.
Denny Hamlin wins at the Milwaukee Mile.
Awesome job, Denny. Aric, if you're listening, you did an awesome job, too.
Aric, this is your race car, man. I appreciate everything you did.
Guys, there's a lot of emotion tonight. We got hardware. We set up pole, won the race. Just want to thank all the people from Rockwell for making it all happen.
Well, in the record books, it's going to say Aric Almirola won the AT&T 250 in Milwaukee tonight.
That's some kind words from the crew, though, that Denny had towards Aric. I mean, he brought Aric back in to make him feel part of this win, part of the team. That's awesome.
Crew chief also coaching Denny Hamlin and helping him dig deep.
Normally, a driver's first ever win is a celebration like none other. But in this case, the first-time winner in question doesn't even appear to be at the racetrack anymore. It's more awkward than anything. Hamlin straight up admitted he didn't even want to get into the car in the first place, saying he knew it would upset Almirola.
Dave Rogers said you were reluctant to get behind the wheel and replace Aric.
I didn't want to do it. I mean, I knew he would be really upset as well as he was running at the time.
But he's far from the only one who disagreed with the move. ESPN's Terry Blunt, in a play-on-baseball terminology, calls it a Busch League move, saying Almirola had every right to be furious and lamenting the fact that Cup Series dominance in the lower levels had gotten to the point where they were replacing Busch Series drivers after the race had already started. Even those who weren't openly critical of the move were left more dumbfounded than anything. Wimmer, who ultimately did finish runner-up, said he was surprised Gibbs made the switch given how strong Almirola was running towards the beginning of the race. So why was the change made? Did the team simply think that the slightly more experienced Hamlin would give them a chance at a better finish? Well, that might be part of it. JD Gibbs acknowledged Almirola was upset and said he would be too if he were in his shoes. But he also stated, quote, "I told those guys as a group, if you think Denny can get in the car and win the race, let's go. Let's do that. If you don't think he can do that, let Aric run it out." Our guys kind of thought about it as a group and said, okay, we think Denny can run well and we're fast enough to win the race. That was a huge discouragement, of course, to Aric. All right, well, sure, Hamlin's the reigning Cup Rookie of the Year, and he's got slightly more experience than Almirola, but still, was it really worth pulling him from the car after he qualified on pole, led over 40 laps, and maintained a spot in the top 3? Well, there's more to the story. As I've mentioned throughout, this is a home track and home race for Rockwell Automation. Gibbs is sponsor of a 20 car. And the general consensus among people like Almirola, Gibbs' other driver, Brad Coleman, who finished 4th, and the number 20 team's crew chief, Dave Rogers, is that this was their most important race of the year, and they wanted their Cup star behind the wheel, even if it meant making the driver change mid-race. Just goes to show how much of a say sponsors have in this sport sometimes. JD Gibbs said after the race, "Thank goodness Hamlin won. It would have looked bad if he didn't." But the truth is, to many, it looked bad regardless. For Almirola, he'll receive the winner's check and credit in the stat book, but he won't consider this his first career win, saying that will come when he crosses the finish line first out on the track for himself. At the end of the year, he'll be released from his development contract with Gibbs and begin running a partial Cup schedule for Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. He'll bounce around a lot in the coming years, running trucks with Billy Ballou in 2010 and nearly winning the championship, back to the renamed Nationwide Series in 2011 for Dale Jr.'s team, and then back to Cup in Richard Petty's famous number 43 car. Ironically, Almirola will get his first Cup win before he gets his first real Xfinity Series win. A well-timed thunderstorm at the July Daytona race in 2014 gives Almirola the victory, 30 years to the day of car owner Richard Petty's 200th win. He'll even get that Xfinity win at Daytona 2 years later. In 2018, he'll begin driving for Stewart-Haas Racing, giving him equipment capable of winning on any given race weekend. And after scoring 2 more Cup Series victories, Almirola will step away from full-time Cup competition at the end of the 2023 season. Not a bad career, all things considered. But how's this for coming full circle? After 16 whole seasons away from the team, Almirola will return to Joe Gibbs Racing's Xfinity Series program in 2024, running 2 races in the team's number 19 Toyota before stepping into the rotation of their number 20 car. The exact same number 20 car that he had been unceremoniously pulled from on that fateful night at Milwaukee. And would you believe that this past season, Almirola not only got to park the car in victory lane on 3 separate occasions, but also came just 1 pass away from stealing the Owners' Championship away from Junior Motorsports and Justin Allgaier. I mean, come on, this has to be one of the greatest full-circle sports moments ever. So fortunately, despite that whole Milwaukee controversy, you can certainly say things turned out alright for Almirola after all. And that's the story of what might be the most controversial instance of bushwhacking in NASCAR history. We still see Cup drivers in the Xfinity Series today, but it's a far less frequent issue. And thanks to limitations on how many races Cup Series drivers can run per year, the practice is almost non-existent at standalone Xfinity races. meaning we'll almost certainly never see another race quite like the 2007 AT&T 250 ever again. Until next time, I'm Ben Schneider. Thanks for watching.